Hello and welcome to the Digital Marketing Podcast. My name is Kieran Rogers.
I'm Louise Crossley.
And I'm Daniel Rolls.
And today we're talking about getting more from Google.
So there is lots going on with Google, as there always is, and we thought we'd raise a couple of those things up today. Some from a real kind of practicality point of view, some from some new tools, and some from a search algorithm point of view as well. So I want to start with consent mode. And this is, I think this is so important because so long this has been going on. You know, you go to someone's website and it says, do you want cookies? And you're like, yes or no, or whatever it is, right? And say you go, no. And what has actually happened is before you've even clicked no, Google Analytics, Google Ads have set a load of cookies on your machine already because no one had integrated on that website the cookie consent thing and actually the setting of the cookies. So, and that was, most websites were like that. And then some people are like, no, we're going to do a good job of this. So if you opt out, we won't let Google Analytics set up. So you had no analytics then. And it just wasn't set up properly. And you get these mechanisms that allowed you to do it, but no one was really integrating it. What this is saying is that if you have any cookie consent mechanism, whether that's the one built into HubSpot, you've got cookie control, there's a load of them out there, it has to set this little trigger, and that trigger then tells Google Analytics what it should and shouldn't do. And they're enforcing the fact that you need to do this as of, did you tell me?
I think it's
start of March.
Start of March in 2024. So as ever, we'll put the link through in the show notes, targetinternet.com/podcast. But essentially, you go through and you've got two modes basically for setting this on. And it's about, are you allowed to analytics cookies? Are you allowed to add cookies? And you're telling it yes or no, and then it will go through and do that automatically. So you don't need to worry about it too much other than to know whatever the mechanism is that's doing your cookie control, it needs to now have the Google Consent Mode 2, V2 integrated into it. Yeah. And then it will switch those things on.
So look at your consent tool, look at the details behind it and make sure it supports that.
Because if it don't, it's not going to switch the right stuff on and off, and you're going to end up telling people they've opted out and then still setting cookies on their machines. You're breaching both EU, British directives and a few other things as well.
CCPA.
But
Canadian
also
one, whatever that's called.
Yeah, but you're also breaking Google's rules in terms of using Google Ads and Google Analytics as well. So Google Consent Mode 2. So just make sure you've kind of got that set up. And it is particularly for GA4 and Google Ads.
It is shocking. I mean, I was looking at some of these websites that had a Shopify extension, which just says, we use cookies. You cool with that? And you go, okay. It's like that. But you have a look at the code. It does nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, it's like and that's such an old approach to this. And it shouldn't be happening.
At least I prefer the one where it says, I don't give you an option, where it says this site uses cookies. If you continue, I mean, you're not supposed to do this, by the way. But I at least prefer that to one that says, do you want to opt in or out? And I say opt out, and it just sets them anyway. I mean, that's really not
bad,
on.
Really bad.
So,
and the other key thing with this is these systems do make it possible to be legal. So it's just as easy to opt in as it is to opt out. So you'll have a permanent link on your site,
and then go back
which enables you to tweak and change your cookie. And that's cool. It's giving people choice if they want it. The majority of people don't, of course. The majority is just get out the way, really. It's
so
legal
design
nonsense.
it in such a way that it's allowing you to do that.
It's one of the things that really impressed me. We had user-centrics on the podcast a while back, and one of the things that really impressed me was they focus on user consent optimization. So actually, I've done a whole load of testing with their interface to make sure that it's optimized to get more people to consent.
So, go ahead. That's fine.
And I've used that system, and it does. Like you get around 75-80% of people are opting in, which is great because then you can have decent amounts of analytics.
So let's talk about something else then, and this is completely different tangent.
Just before we do, if you don't set up Google Consent Mode, you're going to have real problems targeting anybody on Google because you're not going to be able to have that audience data. That's the important thing about it.
Right. I was also going to say the other thing about it is that you get this set up, and when someone does opt out, Google will use some machine learning modeling to fill the gaps for you. So actually having it set up, even if people opt out, you've got a better chance of having pretty good data. Well, you don't need the cookie data. You can use the machine learning. They can use
lookalike audiences on the data you have got.
Yeah, so that's good. So definitely make sure you've got it set up. Okay. A new thing. So we've had this announcement of Google Gemini, which is their multimodal AI, basically. So it basically means that it does video, audio, text, all those kind of things. But separately to that, they've put out a coding experiment called Lumiere. Lumiere is a video platform for artificial intelligence video, but it's amazing. So we're going to put the links in the show notes. But basically, text to video, you describe something, it will generate a video. You give it a static image, it will turn that into a video, and we're like incredibly realistically. If you go through and give it a stylized diagram or something like that, it will create loads of other things within that style. So give it your branded diagrams, it will create other branded diagrams for you, really well on brand as well. And then the great bit is it will do video stylization. Give it a video, it will make it of wooden bricks, or it will make it of flowers, or pretty out there stuff. And then my favorite bits where it could go through and do video in painting. So you might have seen this on an image already, where you take an image and it'll expand that image.
Yeah.
This is like a Bob Ross convention.
Exactly. I don't know.
Bob Ross.
I don't know.
Oh, everybody knows Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Happy Little Accident. Famous 70s.
Even I know Bob Ross.
Do you?
Yeah.
Was he the guy with the beard?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fine. I do know now. I looked a bit confused there, but I understand.
It's not like that.
It's what? No, it's not like that. That's why I was confused, because it was a strange tangent to go on. But there you go. That's all
I
right.
just want to mention Bob Ross because I love him.
We'll get Bob. We'll put some links into the show notes for those who don't know who Bob Ross is. I can take a video. There could be a bit missing from that video in the middle, or half of it missing. It will fill the rest of it in. There's loads of examples.
But what I love about that is those like moments when like an annoying aunt photobombs a video scene, right? With this, you could cut her out, and just replace. It's like she was never there.
It does it? It does it? But this is where it gets really interesting. So, take a video of myself, and then I just put a block over the clothes that I'm wearing, and I'm walking around, and then I go in a blue suit, in a grey suit, and I could
naked.
If you want to, Kieran,
would it do that?
Probably not. It'd probably be blocked from those kind of things immediately.
Don't give people ideas.
Exactly. But the reality is that for e-commerce, I upload a quick video clip of myself, and it will go in, and it will put me in different outfits. So suddenly we're like, wow, okay, this makes loads of sense. I can try stuff on. I can see it online before I do it. So it's really, really interesting. It's only an experiment at the moment, but it kind of shows you where we're going. We're getting loads of written content at the moment. We can generate audio, but video is the next cusp of things, of creativity. And actually, if you can do that with existing video and so on, then it starts to get really interesting.
I love the cinemagraphs feature.
Okay.
I love a cinematograph. So remember, these were a massive fad a few years back now, where you just have a static image, but it'd be one small part of it that's moving in perpetual motion. And they were and there were some really beautiful branded ones done. To create them was a nightmare because you can't
frame by
get
frame.
it. Because you had to get it to match. Otherwise, when it looped, it jerked. But this thing does that. I'm like, that is very exciting.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting what you can do with it. And as I say, it's just doing 5-second clips at the moment, but that'll expand. And soon enough, you'll be able to create whole ads and narratives and all sorts of things with it.
So how can people access it at the moment? Is it a paid for thing? Or?
No, so at the moment it's not, but it's a limited experiment. So you have to code to be able to use it at the moment. But I've seen, because it's on GitHub, there are people doing versions that you can interact with graphically. So when we get any more, we'll put them into the show notes as well. So take a look. So the other kind of update, and this is something that's been around for a while. We've mentioned it before, but we've done some experimentation with this that's been quite successful, is that how is Google, from a search engine optimization algorithm and a content point of view, differentiating AI content from non-AI content, and therefore stopping people from just pumping out loads of stuff? And the way they've done it is using EAT before. So EEAT. So it's the whole expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trust. Authoritativeness. I got
Easy for you to say.
It apparently wasn't. So the EAT factors, and it's like, well, how do you demonstrate experience and expertise? How do you demonstrate your authority and your trust? Well, there's some obvious ways and there's some non-obvious ways. So I wanted to test some of these out in a few articles we wrote. It's had a really significant impact on search traffic and made a bit of a leap for us. So obvious things. The authority, well, if you've got someone that's written an article linking through to their bio. So this is the author of this article. Here's their bio. Here's the other stuff they've done. Bear in mind that Google works in entities. So the whole knowledge graph piece that came out a good number of years ago knows that Daniel Rolls is a person, Target Internet is a company, the Digital Marketing Podcast is a podcast, but it will know those things are connected with that kind of knowledge graph. So by linking that I'm the author of an article and through to my bio and what I do at Imperial College and the books that I've written, it gives it a bit more authority. Okay, so you can do those kind of things.
Like in the experiment, how did you do that?
So that's something we did in a very small scale. The other stuff that we've done, which is stuff that I was really impressed with, is okay, what they're looking for is not you saying this is how you should do it, but this is how we did it, right? So it's that examples, right, of that's my experience. I can demonstrate a case study or an example. Right. So actually taking something, adding stories, case studies, videos, all those kind of things. It's a lot harder to write something that's got 4 videos intermingled into it, a podcast and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it demonstrates a lot more expertise and authority potentially.
So this is a lot more than just having the author tag.
Like that might help a bit.
Yeah.
And that's certainly going to help a bit.
Yeah.
But only if that author's done some other things and is kind of an entity that Google is aware of.
So we're not saying that we need to have author tags on every single blog or content piece that we do. It's not about...
Well, I would suggest that it's probably not a bad thing to say who wrote the article. If it was someone from the organisation that did it, if they have some expertise, demonstrate that. But it's actually more about writing stuff that gives examples and case studies and deeper insights and those things. So you can demonstrate those things. Mm-hmm. So I would go through, put in narrative. Here is an example of. Here is a case study of. Here's a video about this particular topic. Link through to other things you've written on the topic. So doing those kind of hub pages that link off to the other pages, all those kind of things. So by doing that, you're demonstrating, and stories and narrative work from a human point of view, always have. It's really showing what you're kind of talking about from this point of view. So it's different perspectives on it as well. Maybe go and get 4 or 5 other people that are experts to give you their opinion, add it into your article as well.
Which also then shows the limitation of using tools like ChatGPT.
Yeah, because you can't do any of this stuff.
Articles.
Yeah, you can't really do a lot of this stuff. I mean, you might be able to go through and go, give me a case study, give me an example, and then build it in and so on. And that's why actually just getting ChatGPT to write an article versus creating a custom GPT that you say, when you create something, I want to build in 2 or 3 examples. I want you to reference other things that I've written. I want you to give something from this library of examples I've got here. It can help you build something that demonstrates EAT in a better way than just pumping something out. And that's really, if you think about what differentiates great content from okay content, is it just gives you context and narrative and it's more engaging. I can teach you to do something in a really boring way and I can teach you to do something in a massively engaging way that really sticks in your memory afterwards. And probably I would have told you a story. I would have given you some narrative. I would have given you some examples and some colour and some context. Well, that works telling you a story over a fire as much as it does on a website. So actually some of those principles, it's just Google are becoming quite clever at identifying those things.
And from a user as well, like you can tell me that increasing X results in this, but show me how.
Yeah, show me some examples, show me a practical application of that, and those are the kind of things. So screenshots, videos, links to other articles, case studies, stories, all those things are going to help. And because of artificial intelligence, they're actually much better at analysing text and understanding what's what, and then seeing how the things connect. Another thing you can do, get ChatGPT or Bard, point it at one of your competitors' pieces of content and ask it to break it down into entities, and it will break down the different bits of that story. You just want to make sure you're covering those bases and doing similar kind of things. One of the things I do if I'm going to write an article is I'll point ChatGPT at the top 10 or top 5 articles, break them into entities, take that list and then deduplicate it and have a more thorough list by the end. These are the things that we need to cover. So we used to use keyword research tools going, what other adjacent topic areas are we going to use? Well, actually, we can do this using those tools now.
I really enjoyed looking at the recent Google blog on Gemini, like their technology. And I think...
That's a good example of it, actually.
Yeah. Well, because they've got lots of video examples in that which show you what AI is able to understand and the lengths to which it's able to understand.
They had some issues with them, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's been able to understand all sorts of subtleties. I mean, we should put a link in the show notes. Like, guys, go and look at it. It's called Introducing Gemini, our largest and most capable AI model. There's a degree of like promotional glossiness about this, but I think there's some really interesting, because a lot of this stuff, it's not out there yet. Like they're testing it, it's behind the scenes, hasn't been released
yet. Next month
yet.
or two, it all starts being rolled out.
It's going to stop, but actually it'll help everybody to understand how good these systems are now at understanding the subtleties of what's being
But
communicated.
also another example of how you can demonstrate things through having different elements within an article. So they're demonstrating EAT with having the experts, the expert authors. They've linked through to their bios. They have little examples.
That's so much better than what I was thinking. But yeah, I meant that too. What he said. Yeah.
That's quite good. That worked out well for you. That was
it
good.
did.
So I think there's all sorts of different ways of demonstrating that expertise and experience. So rather than obsessing on it, it's like, how do I bring this to life? How do I bring this story to life a little bit more? That's what really is going to demonstrate that EAT stuff for you. So it's definitely worth having a look at. We'll link through in the show notes as normal to the original definition. There's some good stuff on Search Engine Watch and stuff like that as well. So take a look at that as you go through as well. So as ever, thank you for listening to the Digital Marketing Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. targetinternet.com/podcast. You can get in contact and let us know how you're getting on demonstrating EAT, any examples, and we will feature them so you get a bit of coverage. So thank you for listening to the Digital Marketing Podcast.
Please subscribe for more videos like this and visit targetinternet.com for more free digital marketing resources.